Welcome back to Silver Screen Talks. Imagine moving into your dream home, only to discover a door you're forbidden to open. What lies behind it? Secrets, betrayal, and a murder no one saw coming. In this video, we break down a chilling story where nothing is as it seems, and trusting the wrong person could be fatal. Stick around, because what happens in the last 10 minutes will blow your mind. New to the channel? Hit that subscribe button. We bring you amazing movies with detailed explanation which you won't want to miss out. The story begins with John and Sera, a happily married couple. After a long treatment, they are finally about to become parents. Both of them are very excited about their upcoming baby and are discussing how they want to decorate the baby's room. Sera is a math professor and John is an architect. One day, while John is working on a project with his colleagues, he sees a girl named Alyssa. One of his coworkers mentions that Alyssa and John used to be in a relationship, but John replies that it was a long time ago and now he's married. A little while later, Alyssa comes up to John and asks if she can join him on this project since it would be their last project together. However, John turns her down. In the next scene, we see Sera at home alone, playing the piano. Suddenly, she starts experiencing severe abdominal pain. She tries calling John multiple times, but he doesn't answer because he's caught up with work. As soon as John notices the missed calls from Sera, he rushes to her. Despite all the medical efforts, they face a heartbreaking loss and end up losing their baby. The next day, Sera is devastated by the loss. Overwhelmed with grief, she tells John that she can no longer stay in that house. In the next scene, we see John and Sera looking for a new house, but none of the options seem right to them. Then, a woman tells them about a man, her friend, who might be able to help. She explains that he knows the local properties very well and could help them find the perfect home. Following her suggestion, John and Sera visit the man at his home. His house is absolutely beautiful. The man warmly welcomes them. His name is Emmett. His house is just as stunning on the inside as it is on the outside. John and Sera are impressed, and Emmett tells them it's a well-maintained early 90s home that he has lovingly cared for over the years. Emmett's house also has a remarkable collection of antique and vintage items, which catches John's attention. He's truly impressed by the unique pieces and the way Emmett has preserved them over the years. John and Sera open up to Emmett, telling him they're looking for a peaceful place away from the city to start a new chapter in their lives. They all have dinner together and share long conversations. Emmett finds John and Sera to be a genuinely loving couple. As the night gets late, Emmett offers them to stay over in the guest room and suggests continuing the discussion in the morning. While leaving the room, Emmett smiles and says, "I think I might know the perfect house for you two." John and Sera are thrilled to hear that. The next morning, John and Sera want to say goodbye to Emmett, but he wasn't there. Then John notices a letter on the table. Emmett had left a letter for John and Sera in which he wrote, "Dear John and Sera, you are a lovely couple with long, happy lives ahead of you. It was truly a pleasure meeting you, and I could see that you're both ready to start a new chapter in life. There are memories tied to this house that I'm ready to leave behind and move on from. So I would like to give you this house and everything in it. But I have one small condition. You must never open the cellar door. If you agree to this condition, the house is yours. But if you break it, the house will immediately become mine again." John finds Emmett's condition about the cellar door strange, and he tells Sera that something must be wrong with the house. Why else would someone give away such a beautiful home for free, and just for one simple condition? But Sera somehow convinces John to stay. Eventually, John and Sera settle in and start living happily. A few days later, John and Sera throw a housewarming party to celebrate their new home. All their friends come to the party, but unexpectedly, Alyssa shows up uninvited. Seeing her, John is shocked and tells her she shouldn't have come. He firmly asks Alyssa to stay away from him and Sera. Just then, a man shows up outside the house, holding a can of gasoline. John sees him and walks over to ask if he's lost, but the man looks at John and says, "Before it's too late, you need to burn this house down. This house will destroy you." After saying that, the man walks away. John finds his words incredibly strange and unsettling. The next day, John goes to his office and finds out that Alyssa has filed a sexual harassment complaint against him. As a result, an official investigation is launched, and John gets immediately suspended from the job. John returns home but doesn't tell Sera about the investigation or his suspension from the job. He's feeling deeply frustrated and defeated, and that's when his eyes fall on the cellar door. One day, when John is home alone, he tries to open the cellar door, but ends up injuring his hand and fails to get it open. That night, John tells Sera, "Even if we open the cellar door, how would Emmett ever find out?" He tries hard to convince Sera to open the door and see what's inside. But Sera refuses. She doesn't want to risk losing the house. One day, while John is home alone, he starts to suspect that there might be some kind of hidden passage near the stairs. Driven by curiosity, he goes to the city planning office to get the blueprint of the house. There, the manager tells him that before John, the house was owned by a man named Paul McManus. Surprised, John says, "But the owner of this house is Emmett." The manager then explains that 25 years ago, Emmett's wife left him and took their daughter with her. After that incident, Emmett abandoned the house and never came back. After returning home, John studies the blueprint and discovers that there's indeed a hidden passage near the stairs. He opens a small door beside the staircase and begins investigating inside. Before he can make sense of what he's seeing, Sera comes back home. She asks John why he's home so early, and John lies to her, saying that he finished work early at the office today. At night, John gets a call from Alyssa. He agrees to meet her. The next day, they meet, and John asks her why she filed a false sexual harassment complaint against him. Alyssa tells him that she wants him back in her life, but John makes it clear that he can't leave Sera. Alyssa then threatens him, saying that if he doesn't come back to her, she will tell Sera everything. How John had been secretly meeting her and fucking her behind Sera's back over and over. Hearing this, John loses his temper and warns Alyssa that if she does that, he will kill her. The next day, John goes out for a run. While he's gone, Sera finds out that she's pregnant again. She's overjoyed. While in the bedroom, she discovers the house blueprint under the bed, the one John had brought home. Looking at it, she's surprised to see a hidden door marked near the stairs. Curious, Sera decides to check it out and opens the door to explore what's inside. Just then, Alyssa shows up at the house. But since Sera is inside the hidden passage, Alyssa doesn't see her. Moments later, John returns home and spots Alyssa's car leaving the driveway. Furious, he jumps into his car and starts chasing her, but Alyssa manages to lose him and disappears. That night, when John returns home, Sera excitedly tells him that she's pregnant. John is overjoyed by the news. Then Sera tells him that she found the blueprint and asks, "Why are you trying to find another way into the cellar?" She reminds him that they agreed not to go near the cellar door and says she doesn't want to lose the house. Sera asks John to close the hidden door near the stairs and makes him promise that he won't think about the cellar again. John agrees, and he nails the door shut. The next day, John and Sera are busy planning the painting and decoration for their baby's room. Just then, John receives a call from his office. He's informed that the investigation into Alyssa's sexual harassment complaint is complete and that he has been found innocent. They also tell him that he can return to work from Monday. On Monday, when John arrives at the office, he finds out that Alyssa hasn't shown up for the past week, and she's not answering anyone's calls either. In the next scene, John and Sera are working on the baby's room. As John removes a painting from the wall to start coloring, he notices a small hole in the wall behind it. Curious, he investigates and finds a bullet hidden inside the hole. John says they should inform the police immediately. Hearing this, Sera tells him he's overreacting. John replies that he's had suspicions about Emmett for a while now. He reminds her that Emmett's wife and daughter left him 25 years ago, and no one has seen them since. John says he believes Emmett killed his wife and daughter and buried them in the cellar. Sera doesn't agree. She tells John she doesn't believe in his wild theory. She's pregnant and wants to focus on their baby, not on some fantasy. She urges John to stop wasting time on this nonsense and focus on their future. The next day, when John arrives at the office, he learns that the local police found Alyssa's car abandoned somewhere upstate, and they suspect she may have committed suicide. After coming home, John keeps thinking about the bullet he found in the wall. He starts inspecting the antique gun collection Emmett had left behind. While looking through them, he finds a bullet that's an exact match. The next day, John shows the bullet to Sera and says, "Look, these two bullets are a perfect match." He tells her he wants to open the cellar door and go down into the basement to find out the truth. Hearing this, Sera gets angry and asks, "Why are you doing this? Do you want to lose this house? Don't you care about my happiness?" Just then, the doorbell rings and Sera goes to answer it. At the door, there are two detectives who ask Sera about John and say they need to speak with him. One of the detectives questions John about Alyssa and the sexual harassment complaint she had filed against him. The detective explains they suspect John may have killed Alyssa and hidden her body. When the detective asks where John was on the day Alyssa disappeared, John is unable to answer. That's when Sera steps in and says John was at home that day, because she's pregnant, and John has been spending most of his time with her. After the detectives leave, Sera is furious. She asks John why he hid everything from her. "You were accused of sexual harassment, suspended from your job, and you didn't tell me any of it. You pretended to go to work for an entire month." John tries to explain, saying he didn't do anything wrong and that he's now been proven innocent. But Sera reveals that she knew all along about his affair with Alyssa. She says, "I knew the day I was in pain and calling you over and over that you were with Alyssa. I've always known you were fucking her behind my back." Sera goes on to say she also knew John followed Alyssa in his car that day. "I didn't tell the detectives because I didn't want you to end up in jail. I didn't want to have to explain to our baby that their father is in prison." John admits that everything she said is true, except that he didn't kill Alyssa and has no idea what happened to her or where she is. But Sera doesn't believe him. At night, John still finds himself obsessing over the cellar door and Emmett's strange condition. Suddenly, he recalls what the city planning office manager told him, that the previous owner of the house was someone named Paul McManus. The next morning, John looks up Paul McManus and manages to find his address. When he visits Paul's home and sees him, John is shocked. Paul is the same man who showed up during their housewarming party, the one who warned John to burn the house down before it destroyed his life. As it turns out, Paul is now going through a bitter divorce and is in serious financial trouble. John asks him about Emmett and the truth behind the cellar door. Paul tells him, at first, the house seems perfect, ideal, beautiful, and a dream come true at such a low price. But in reality, it's a deal with the devil. He continues, it's not really about the cellar door or even Emmett. It's about the people who move in, people hiding dark secrets. John presses again, asking what exactly lies behind the cellar door. Paul simply replies, if you really want to know, then you'll have to open it yourself. That's the only way. Meanwhile, Sera patches up the hole in the wall made by the bullet. Just then, John comes in and says, "Why can't you see the truth?" He shouts at Sera, "You're just covering it up." He tells her they need to leave the house, but Sera refuses and says, "This is our dream home, and I'm not leaving it." John, frustrated, says, "That's enough. I'm going to open that cellar door and end this contract once and for all." He storms toward the cellar door and starts breaking the lock. Sera chases after him, trying to stop him, but John doesn't listen. In desperation, Sera grabs a metal rod and strikes John on the head, knocking him unconscious. After John regains consciousness, he asks Sera why she did that. Sera says, "I couldn't let you open it. You need to be prepared for what you're going to see down there." She then places Alyssa's phone in front of John. John asks Sera, "What did you do to Alyssa?" That's when Sera reveals the truth. She explains that the day Alyssa came to the house, she had gone into the room meant for the baby. Sera pointed a gun at her and told her to leave, but Alyssa said, "The life you have should have been mine. You don't deserve any of this." Hearing that made Sera furious. In a burst of emotion, she fired the gun at Alyssa, but when that didn't kill her, Sera strangled her to death. Sera justifies her actions by saying she did it to protect her unborn child and the perfect life she was building. Then she explains that, as a mathematician, she considered all the probabilities, causes, and effects, so she felt she had only one option. She tells John that she carefully wrapped Alyssa's body and hid it in the cellar, and then drove Alyssa's car away. John realizes that the day he thought he was chasing Alyssa's car, it was actually Sera who was driving it. Sera continues, saying she left the car in an isolated location and also got rid of Alyssa's phone. She admits her one mistake was forgetting about the bullet hole in the wall. Sera says that John's reaction was predictable, and she knew how to calm him down. John tells her, "You're going to need a good lawyer now because you're going to be convicted of murder." Saying this, he turns to leave, but Sera suddenly points a gun at him and tells him to sit back down. Calmly and confidently, Sera tells him, "If you try anything, I'll testify that you killed Alyssa. You're already the prime suspect, John. No one will believe you didn't do it, and you'll go to prison for murder." She continues, "But if you keep this secret, if you stay silent, then our perfect life can go on." To Sera, Alyssa was just a minor sacrifice for the life she's always dreamed of. And now, John has to make a choice. In the next scene, we see that Sera has thrown a party at home to celebrate their upcoming baby. It's very hard for John to pretend like everything is fine. Among the many gifts they receive, one is from Emmett. Emmett thanks them for turning the building into a happy home. His gift is the key to the cellar door, the same door whose use now lies entirely in John and Sera's hands. However, Emmett is confident now that both John and Sera truly understand what lies behind that cellar door. So this was the end of the movie. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then hit the thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Stay tuned for more detailed explanation of movies. Thanks for watching.